Roger's humans, Heidi and Newt. Hello, Heidi.
Hi.
Oh, we've got a very pretty little Jenday right there. He seems very friendly and very active, considering he went right up to the camera, no problem.
Yeah, he's not shy.
And now he's trying to escape the camera. So can you tell us how Roger came to Mickaboo?
Oh yeah, he was in the shelter, and we have a volunteer in the shelter who saw him coming in, and so we got to the shelter right away because he had an eye injury, and that needed to be treated by an avian vet right away, and so that's how he came to Mickaboo. And he's a very, we think he's a very young bird. Probably about 6 months old. It's not quite clear, maybe a little bit older, but he still has this very youngster behavior.
So he's just a little kid avoiding his greens right now.
Actually, he is one of the few birds that we have fostered that actually loves greens. And now I think that toy got more important because there is a little treat in there. But he is one of the only birds that really loves broccoli. He just didn't want to show it on the camera.
Of course, birds never want to show off they'll eat all the greens in the world, but the moment you try and get a camera for it. Oh, there we go. I got a little nibble. So you mentioned that Roger had a little problem with his eye. Is that all fixed up or?
Yeah, so what happened is he got treatment. We think he had some head trauma or something like that. And it caused some nerve damage, and his pupils cannot really contract easily. But the medication really helped with the initial infection that he had. And now it seems like it doesn't really bother him much at all because he can fly, he can see in 3 dimensions, because he can land everywhere. So he's doing great. So he doesn't need any medication anymore.
I'm just having fun watching his little antics here. So something to keep an eye out.
And
he wanted to get onto your shoulder.
He's really going for it. Yeah, he seems super active. So the eye thing is something to keep an eye on, but not necessarily a concern right now, it sounds.
It's not holding him back.
Oh no, it's definitely not. Right now, the only thing holding him back is the fact that you haven't reloaded his puzzle toy yet.
Yes, they have not.
Okay,
and so I want to mention but he's discovering all these new things that you can just see. He gets on the little swing. He discovers a whole new world. He is a young bird. So we are trying to teach him all kinds of things, including food. In the beginning, he only ate pellets of one kind. And so we had to teach him that there are really yummy foods and veggies, and he would only try them when you actually eat them in front of him. And then he realized, oh, that is food. And now he has been turning into a really great eater. He tries everything. And if something is new, you just have to eat it in front of him and say, yummy, yummy. And then he gets really curious about it.
He is very fun to watch. He is so active and so food motivated. Makes for really easy training for sure.
Mm-hmm. And we just started training, so he always reliably steps up and steps down. And I think if he goes to a foster home, because he's still very young, it would be great if he went to a home where people really have time to work with him further, because it's just in the space where he can learn so many things.
Oh, yeah. So I know we talked a little bit about veggies and pellets. Does he have a favorite treat? Maybe whatever he's getting out of his forage toy?
Yeah, it's these are little pine nuts. We also give him a tiny bit of almond slivers or safflower seeds, but they're always very, very small pieces, and that seems to be enough for him to get motivated. But his diet, like I mentioned, has already changed to a lot of like foods, like all kinds of berries, and we try mandarins. He likes banana. And then, of course, we give him veggies, snow peas. He even eats lettuce and broccoli, and we're still trying new things and see what he eats. But yeah, he is not. The only thing he doesn't like, which is really weird, because most birds really like apple, but so far he hasn't really touched apple that much.
That's kind of surprising. I know conures are big on apple. All of mine will eat some.
Yeah.
We did have one question from the audience, which is, what is the lifespan of a Jenday? And I can tell you it's about 25 to 30 years. They're kind of in the middle range for conures. So he's very young and has a lot of years ahead of him, to say the least. I did want to ask, just because I'm seeing it in the background, I assume that's his cage on the back, right?
No, this is our other conure that we have adopted. He's like a green cheek conure, but his cage is about the same size. So it's about 28 to 23 inches. Because he loves to climb around, and as you can see, right, he loves to do that in his cage too, and he plays with all the toys. So it needs to be a really decent sized cage for him.
Yeah, how are you going to cram all the cage in there if you get how are you going to cram all the toys in there if you get him a small cage? He's going to need
and
plenty of space.
Exploring, and it's just if you have to change out the toys. Now he's on my shoulder.
I was right about to ask, does he fly? But I think he just heard me thinking that question. I think if you back up, he'll climb onto his platform. Oh, there he goes.
Well, some of his wing feathers were clipped, but he knew how to fly already. He was just a little bit unsure in the beginning because of his eye problem. And now as you can see, he loves to fly. And I would really encourage everyone to also not clip his wings because he just loves it. The way we have set this up here, and you can see this, we have this climbing tree. Normally he knows where to fly to. He wants to be on you a lot of the times. But that climbing tree is always a safe place to land. And sometimes he just makes a few rounds with flying and then comes back to the shoulder. So he just really enjoys that.
We just saw him almost attempt to face plant there. We did have an audience question. How do you expect his personality to change as he grows? Do you expect he'll be this energetic for years to come?
I think conures in general are very playful, and they like to explore things. He has not really reached his teenage rebellion years, so it could be that he might get a little bit more strong-willed, I would say. At the moment, he has never bitten us at all, but he is getting a little bit beaky with your hands, meaning he likes to chew on your fingers, but it's never really biting hard. And when he is on your shoulder and near your face, he never really makes an attempt to even nibble harder, which is really great. But we cannot really guarantee that it will stay that way, because obviously they are going to develop and go through a whole teenage phase. But I think if you work with him, because he already knows all these things, and keep on working with him and paying attention to him, it could be that he just stays that way.
I think you need a better forage toy for him, because he is so fast with that.
Yeah, he figured that out very quickly.
Yeah, I gave him broccoli this time. He didn't like it.
Listen, if he opens a forage toy, there should be a treat inside, not a piece of broccoli. He has a very strong opinion of that.
To be a treat.
He just seems like such a fun bird. He just seems like a character. Go with that.
Is, and he also can say a few words. The reason why he's Roger is because when he calms down and is really content, he always says, Roger, Roger, Roger. So that's why we had to name him Roger. And then the feather came as a second thought, so that's a great name for him.
He definitely seems like a little Roger feather. And now I probably should mention, just because he is a Jenday Conure and not everyone's going to be familiar with Jenday Conures, how loud is he?
Okay, he can be very loud. To be honest, if he is on my shoulder and he would make his loud call, I would prefer to wear earplugs. The nice thing about him, though, is he only makes the calls when he's in the cage and he wants attention. If you walk by, and you don't pay attention to him, then he might make that big call, that loud call. But as you see now, I mean, once he's out and he does things and can explore things, it's really quiet. But yeah, in general, I would be a bit hesitant in an apartment, because that one call that he makes can be really loud.
Yeah, we generally don't recommend Jendays as apartment birds or for anyone who is sound sensitive in any way, just because their highest volume is not just high, but also high pitched. And it tends to go through walls a bit more than some of the more deeper voiced birds. So as we are wrapping up with Roger Federer, do you have any fun stories with him?
Yeah, I mean, we discover new things with him every day. And like the last few weeks, he is just such an acrobat and climbs all over the place. And it's just so fun to watch. And if he's on your shoulder and is curious about something, for example, when he takes a bath, at the moment, he's only taking a bath at the sink. So we basically let the water, running water come out of the tap. And then he goes down your hand, like your arm, and stays on your arm, and then he takes a bath that way. And then the funny thing is that when he's on your arm and he wants to be there, you can do whatever you like. He will stay there. He's not fazed by moving hands or, getting things. He just stays there and kind of keeps up with every movement, just wants to stay on your arm. So that's really funny to watch. He just wants to be with you.
He honestly looks adorable, and I'm sure someone's falling in love with him right now. So thank you very much, both of you, or I guess all three of you. And we are going to be hopping over to meet